With over 800 exhibitors gathering in Las Vegas, Nevada, NBAA-BACE is North America's largest gathering for the business aviation industry. After being forced to cancel the event in 2020, NBAA 21 will simply not disappoint. With unprecedented demand for private aircraft coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, the world's most advanced business aircraft are here on display. Suppliers up and down the supply chain are represented here at this event and come together with private, corporate, and commercial business aviation operators from across the industry, all ready to meet face-to-face once again and collaborate in advancing the business aviation industry. Welcome back. Our next guests are bringing innovation to the business aviation community. At NBAA-BACE, we're always looking for innovation and new technology that's going to grow our industry further. Today, we're joined by Ben Tigner and Craig Smith, the CEO and Director of Product, respectively, for OverAir, a company that you may not heard of. Ben, I have not heard of OverAir until this week, but I'm impressed with what you guys have going on. Tell us about OverAir and what exactly your business is doing and why you're here at NBAA.
Thanks, Hulsey. Yeah, it's great to be here, and it's fantastic to reconnect with the NBAA community after a year gap since the last live session. It's fantastic to be here with everyone. It's great to be here with you. Yeah, most people haven't heard of OverAir. We are, as a company, we're only about 20 months old, but we spun out of a company that has been around for a long time. Brigham Aircraft has been operating in the military space for the last couple of decades, developing technology, specialized technology for vertical lift, specifically for Army vertical lift platforms that want to be very, very safe, very, very efficient, and very, very low noise. And since those are exactly the attributes needed for urban air mobility, we realized that we needed to create a commercial product, and we created OverAir as a spin-off from Brigham Aircraft to pursue the Butterfly product, which is the vehicle that encapsulates those propulsion technologies that we had been developing at Brigham Aircraft for the military.
Well, you're really known for those propulsion systems. You know, Brigham Aircraft is really widely known as one of the fathers of EVTOL, and specifically relative to the rotor technology that supports that. The transition aircraft and those items. Are you bringing that technology to the forefront in your product line?
That's right. It's the same propulsion technology that we had pursued for programs like the Army's Future Vertical Lift program that we're bringing now to the commercial sector. The signature of very, very large rotor disc area that allows the blades to turn very slowly, that gives you very high propulsive efficiency and very low noise signature, which obviously in the military regime it's important, but in the commercial regime it's even more important because we want to put these vehicles at very high density on commercial routes, and people aren't going to like it if they're loud. So we've really focused on the two attributes of very high levels of safety and very low levels of noise.
So while you're treating your business, it sounds like, as a startup, you actually have many years of history in this space. So while you're 20 months old, you're actually, how old is Brigham Aircraft?
Yeah, Brigham Aircraft started in about 2005, but Brigham Aircraft itself drew in technology that the founders had been working on several years before that. So yes, we're in terms of technology maturity, we're several decades old, even though the company and this particular product is a little bit newer.
Is that a strategic differentiator between you and maybe potential other competitors in the market space?
I believe it absolutely is. Vertical lift technology is extremely hard to do and involves tight integration of lots and lots of different technologies using lots and lots of very difficult to master tools, and having that legacy of a couple of decades worth of learning how to integrate these technologies into a very precisely woven tapestry is, I think it's a great advantage that we bring.
So Ben, you have 4 rotors to choose from. You can actually lose one and still maintain safe flight and control, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have several layers of safety. One is that each rotor has substantial redundancy within the rotor. Redundancy of power source and battery, redundancy of power control in the motor controllers, redundancy of the motors themselves, redundancy of blade control, very highly redundant. So the eventuality of losing one complete propulsor will be very rare, extraordinarily rare. But in the event that we do lose one complete propulsor, the configuration is able to continue and fly safely and land, including hovering on just 2 of the 4 rotors. So we anticipate that it's going to be a very, very safe vehicle.
So it seems like here at the whole show, the buzzword sustainability. Everybody talks about sustainability and efficiency. Your platform's 155 knot cruise, which is phenomenal to get across town. But can you address the sustainability, charge times, how low noise contributes to working in urban environments?
Yeah. So it is really interesting. The aviation community writ large is really focused on trying to figure out how to move toward a carbon-free future. And this new wave of electric vertical lift mobility is really a fantastic opportunity to expand the footprint of aviation in really clean transportation. And we're really excited to be working on a battery-only, all-electric aircraft. We're really focused on having the footprint in cities be as light as possible. We don't want to contribute to any air pollution, any particulates in the air. We don't want to contribute to noise pollution. We understand that we have to be good participants, good corporate citizens, make the communities that we serve better in every way. We don't want to, and it's very important to us that we're serving the entire community. This is not aimed at being an aviation asset that is only accessible to the upper end. This is going to be something that's going to open up opportunities for everyone in urban areas by bringing the cost of access down to within the reach of everyone.
Well, I noticed you're slated for 2025 for certification and 2026 for your first flight. So, we're talking about the near future. So my main question is, when can I get a ride?
Well, as you said, we are focused on trying to be certified by the end of 2025 and enter commercial service in 2026. And come by the place a little bit before we're certified, and we'll sneak you in.
So Craig, I'm curious about the product in general and the experience that you're trying to create. Tell us a little bit about your focus with the business and where you see the product really evolving to.
Yeah, so ultimately the Butterfly is really designed for operating in mobility as a service. So we have a world where people are starting to move around via Uber and other rideshare technologies. So that landscape is evolving, and especially in highly dense urban locations, the adoption of those types of services are rapidly expanding between different ground legs, scooters, bikes, cars, etc. And the aerial transportation is really the next major step in enabling mobility as a service for you to quickly get across a dense urban metropolitan location. Butterfly will see quite a few people per year, so we're expecting up to around 20,000 people who will actually fly in a single Butterfly per year throughout the operation as we're ramping up flight hours. So the product is very centralized around making sure it's adapted for everyone to be able to get on a Butterfly and fly it. So we have to handle every single potential ergonomic range. We have enough payload to support 5 passengers with extra cargo space as well. So we need to handle tall people, short people. We need to consider mobility restrictions. So the entire human integration of Butterfly is really thought through. How can we integrate those people? How can they get in and out efficiently? How can we accommodate a lot of various ergonomics? How can we fly people around for a reasonable cost as well? So as Ben was saying, this is not just a product that's made for high-end charter operations. We are really trying to enable people to use the service and rely on it as a future utility.
Now, it sounds interesting. With 20,000 seat hours, are you anticipating that across individual, multiple passengers in the same aircraft to calculate that? Or are you looking at 20,000 seat hours on an individualized basis, individual aircraft basis?
Yeah, so when I say 20,000, we're considering 20,000 unique passenger rides per year per vehicle. So that's per several thousand missions per year, and then you have around 4 or 5 passengers per mission. So that's how we're coming up with around 20,000 unique passengers per vehicle per year.
How are you focusing on customer experience, Greg? I really want to understand that as far as the design, integration, and evolution of your product stack.
So let's start with what we're ultimately trying to achieve for the customer. That's time savings, right? So we need to help customers get from point A to point B much faster than they could do it with any other route. And in order to achieve that time savings, everything has to be on time, has to be perfect. Flight operations have to be precise. And there's quite a few things we need to do to achieve very precise flight operations. And when people book a ride through various services or Part 135 providers, they have to know that Butterfly is going to be there. It's going to be on time and fly them to where they need to be. And A lot of the design has significant amounts of controllability in very inclement weather. So the technology has been rapidly developed for Department of Defense technologies, and we have considerable amounts of controllability through cyclic control and heat propulsion system. So what that allows us to do is handle quite pretty extreme crosswinds and other environmental variables such as IFR that some of our peers may not be as apt to handle. And what that does is increase the reliability in places like Chicago, New York, where you have very rapid seasonal changes throughout the year. So that's one aspect of really making sure we can be on time. The other parts of it are really doing whatever we can to reduce pilot workload with sophisticated backends that will help them with mission planning and take what traditional pilots have to do to prepare for a flight currently. We have to be able to help them prepare for the flights in minutes, not a half hour ahead of time. So helping them with route planning, where they're going, range estimates, energy use estimates, all those sorts of factors will help enable pilots to fly successfully, focus on the passengers, focus on safety, and ultimately be able to take off on time for passengers.
Basically, going back to basics of operation of the ship, one of the things about being on time, you've got all these batteries you have to charge. And we spoke earlier, you can literally charge the batteries on them while you're loading passengers and baggage, right? Yeah,
that's right. So there's a little bit of a myth out there that electric car batteries take forever to charge, or batteries that could be utilized in all electric aircraft. But with our range, a typical mission will use 50% or less of the battery. So it's not like you have to recharge the battery every single time. And current lithium technology is able to charge at what we call 2 to 3C, which ultimately means we could charge half the battery in about 10 minutes or less. And that's being done today. It's being done in Tesla. It's being done with other automotive manufacturers. And one of the things that's very great about our design is it's highly efficient. Being highly efficient allows us to do it. Allows us to use existing lithium technology today that is very commercialized and being used. We're not reliant on some future solid-state battery technology to reach the claims that we're actively putting on our website and media materials right now.
Well, I can tell you this, if you guys put a butterfly in operation next to Brigham in Decatur, Texas, I'll never drive to the airport again.
Well, it seems like you guys are not relying on unobtainium and future development to bring a product to life, and that's exciting because the aviation industry does need innovation, and it needs to have innovation quickly to meet this current demand structure. Ben, Craig, thank you so much for joining us here today. I look forward to seeing your progress. Look forward to seeing more about your product in the press in the future. Welcome anytime. You're both welcome anytime on Straight and Level. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Hulsey. Thanks, Danny.
It's great to be back face-to-face in the business aviation industry. On behalf of the crew of Straight and Level, a special thanks to all of our guests for joining us live on the broadcast set in the NBAA static display. I'm Hulsey Smith, and until next time, blue skies.